Namaste, lads and ladies. Welcome back, finally, to another video. Today, we are going to be talking about a very, I want to say interesting bit of propaganda, but it's kind of laughable, really. It's just laughable. A friend of mine let me know of this very, well, I want to say, like, friendly 2020 woke propaganda racist type deal thing. I thought to myself, okay, sounds interesting. What's this about then? It's called Everything is Going to Be All White. So, as a fellow Caucasian white man with a very stunning, gorgeous looking beard, I'm going to do a little reaction video to this. I will not be showing you the footage of it because I don't want this video copyrighted, and to be honest, I just want to get, like, I want to give you guys my honest reaction to it because of, yeah, my friend who sent it to me, he was quite shocked by it. He's black, by the way, just to let you all know. He was kind of shocked how something like this could happen. I just, like, when I first heard about this trailer, I just found it funny. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to, like, get a nice little look on, see how it is played out. So, I've got my other device here. I'm going to quickly watch it, and yeah, I will pause it to and fro through the video, basically, so I can give you guys my little synopsis on what's I think, basically. So, let's get into it, shall we?
I think what annoys me most about white people is when they pretend like they're the victim. What's also annoying is when they kill us.
Okay, that's very dramatic.
When everything has been constructed around it.
Every part of who I am has been distorted or criminalized.
It's really just a bunch of white lies.
And the person who said that is a white man. That kind of just shows how very, like, deep the propaganda goes in American culture. Nothing against my American friends. They've had some interesting history throughout the time, in their lifetime and all that, and they've done some wonderful achievements. Some of their worst, well, I wouldn't say it's achievement, is probably the racist stereotypes and systemic racism throughout their culture. Although I can't really complain because an awful lot of culture has racism attached to it. That's like unavoidable, basically. Every single culture has some form of racism in one way, shape, or form, really. But it's the thing that kind of irks me is not the fact that they're racist towards white people. It's more the fact that they don't, like, learn the ins and outs of what racism truly is, basically. How everything, like, that is racist in most countries is now basically blamed on Caucasian or white people, and I don't think people talk about that often, really. I mean, you see someone like me, and you're meant to assume that I'm some sort of systemic racist or something. No. You got to know the person first before you just jump on a bandwagon like that, but unfortunately that is the case with most of this.
They're storming the Capitol!
Ah, the Capitol. Yeah. I heard about this when they stormed the White House when Trump was still president. That was interesting because yeah, I don't really know the full ins and outs of that situation. Basically, they just wanted him out of office because of some things that he said. Basically, he upset some snowflakes, and they took that personally. But there's going to be some obvious, like, feathers ruffled with Donald Trump really at the end of the day. And if you ask me, clearly, I don't think they've done an even better job with putting Biden in office, really. They just found someone who would fill the role quickly, and they just went with Biden. And now that Kamala Harris is his vice president, she's obviously controlling him through puppet strings, basically. So, you know, we all know how that is going to turn out in 4 years' time. That's the unfortunate thing with America, because I feel like they have literally no choice in who they elect as their leader, basically, because I feel like they just have to deal with one president for 4 years, and then it just goes on and on and on, basically. Anyway, carry on with the video.
You're ridiculous.
One of the definitions of American whiteness is ignorance.
White people, we are not.
No, ignorance is... So, am I confused? She's basically compared the colour of white to ignorance, when in some forms, like, whiteness can be a sign of clarity or just a colour in general, basically. I can't really, like, say that's kind of stupid, but then at the end of the day, like, everyone is ignorant. I mean, she's being ignorant herself by not, like, understanding that through each person, we each have a name, we each have a job, we each have basically, like, standards in life that we have to live to. It's not, when you just put all of that into one box, then it's easy to basically, like, segregate people, and that is what this is. It's to segregate the races between whites, Asians, blacks, and so on and so forth, the other races, basically. It just makes me laugh how, like, this is given such a mainstream, how it's got such a mainstream media in parts of, like, Western society. It's just so funny how at a time in our life, like, from the excuse me, from the early 2000s going all the way to, like, 2010, we barely heard anything of, like, systemic racism through most cultures, basically. It was only until, like, 2015 and up to 2020 did more events with systemic racism happen, like with the whole Black Lives Matters movement going on, and then the Me Too movement. I don't want to talk about Me Too because that is just a farce, basically. That's just a gender war on itself. That's basically what the masses do. They basically put all sides against one another to take away from the big picture, basically.
You're a problem. You are.
Should white people today feel any responsibility for slavery?
Hell yeah.
Well, if we are owning our responsibility to slavery, then shouldn't we also own responsibility to freeing slaves at a certain point? If they learn their history, they would obviously know that there was an awful lot of people on voyages throughout the 18th to the early 19th century that would go out to free slaves. Slavery was abolished God knows how long ago, and when the Gettysburg Address happens, people tend to, like, put that under the rug, basically. Yes, it's kind of a slap on the wrist, basically, to the African American, like, heritage, by basically just, like, saying that the Gettysburg Address should be remembered in a light when, you know, it's like saying, like putting cuffs on a black man in those days, and then going to the Gettysburg Address and then freeing them and then saying, so, we cool now? No, that's not good. That's never been good. But that was a different time. In this day and age, we're not doing stuff like that these days. White people are not en masse systemically racist. Yes, there are odd numbers of people that are, and it's the same with all races. We tend to forget that every single race has its odd flow of people that murder and kill and, like, steal and riot and are systemically racist, but we just tend to forget that we're just putting all people of colour into one mass, basically. It's just hilarious how they can't see that.
White Jesus or black Jesus?
Who cares?
Think of geography. Ain't no way Jesus walked around with blonde hair and blue eyes.
I'm going to be real with you. I'm an atheist. So I don't believe jack shit in any religion, basically. It's simple as that. I might offend some people, but that's my opinion. You can't change my opinion. Like how I can't change your opinion that your God is your God, basically. If you want to believe that God is black, if you want to believe that he's white, if you want to believe that he's Arabic, go right ahead, man. But at the end of the day, you're just going to offend someone by saying, oh no, God is Buddha. No, God's a cow. No, God is Vishnu. Like, come on now. Come on. Just let people believe in what they want to believe, and as long as they're not hurting anyone, then it's fine, you know?
White culture fears the end of the world. For us as native people, the end of the world already happened. Like,
no, I don't agree with that either, because if your way of living has ended, then how are you here talking about it? It ends with you. Just because I'm alive doesn't mean that my heritage is dead, but it doesn't mean that I have to follow the same heritage roles as the previous white men of my time, basically. I'm not going to lie that whites have done some horrible things in our history, but most, and if not all other races, are guilty in one way, shape or form of their own issues and their own prejudices against people.
multiple times.
Symbols and monuments, these are mementos of racism.
Bring that statue down. Put up a TCBY yogurt or something everybody can get behind.
What? So I just saw a picture of them tearing down a statue of some sort of figurehead, more than likely a racist figurehead. I don't know who it was. And he's saying something about like putting up a statue about BBY. What the hell is BBY yogurt? My American friends, if you know what that is, please leave it down in the comments because I want to know what this BBY yogurt is. It sounds like a hot drink or something. It might be a rapper. I don't know. Like, you know those rappers with all those face tattoos and stuff like that. I can't talk tattoos and all that, but at least they're not on my face yet. Might think of a rap career. What do you think? Maybe I should have like a rap name. Comment that down below as well. See what you think my rap name should be. This is America.
Has to be told about history.
That is not America.
We have to make sure that these stories are told from our perspective.
And that right there is segregation in itself. What, so because I'm not black, I can't learn history? So you're segregating me from learning an intentional value? That's something that happened in the early 50s all the way up to the 90s, which I still detest in like a modern day society of America and like England. England, it wasn't as bad as it was in America. Like, we weren't going around mass killing people. It's still horrible in its way, shape, or form, really. But we kind of like our ancestors and our like generation, grandparents and all that stuff, basically try to dumb down the population or try to keep like one race out of like being able to learn and study and stuff like that. And now it's the opposite effect here, where you know this race of this race of racist black people and other races basically are trying to do the same thing to white people as a way of like making us repent for something that this generation of white people didn't do. So it's kind of like, okay, but you're kind of like falsely accusing and falsely putting someone to hang, basically. You know, that's no better. They're basically being no better than what our ancestors were, basically. You know, it's interesting.
There's always hope. You know what I'm saying? We don't give up. It's about obliterating systemic and institutionalized racism.
That's good. Do it in your own way. That's good. If you want to get rid of systemic racism, just stop talking about it. Morgan Freeman put that best. He sat down in front of someone. I can't remember who the interviewer was. He was a young black man who was very aspired to Morgan. He loved Morgan, basically. I can't remember the man's name, unfortunately. I can't really remember him. It's such a shame, really, because he seemed like a lovely chap. Anyway, he's talking to him, and Morgan is just like, I understand that you want to get the message out there of, like, you know, getting rid of systemic racism and, like, showing that, you know, black people are just as, you know, colourful and vibrant as other people and races, and they have their own unique culture to show. That's lovely. Just stop going on about race, because if you keep talking about it, it's never going to stop. And then when it doesn't stop, then like the bandwagon of racists come on and try to take away what is beautiful from your culture, basically. There is so many African cultures that are so gorgeous. Like, have you seen the clothing an awful lot of African women wear? Like the headdresses and stuff like that. That is so gorgeous. I remember back in 2015 when the Rugby World Cup came around, we had South Africa come down to Brighton to face Japan. I went to that match. It was brilliant. Japan played a stellar game, beat the South African Springboks for the first time, and I was so elated. It was such a brilliant match, and I absolutely enjoyed it. People were dancing in the street. There were like tambourines and colourful dresses, and just people from all walks of life just coming together to celebrate a sport that we all loved and enjoyed, basically. That is utopia to me. That is looking at someone, not because of their colour, but because of what they stand for as a person. And like, learn the person's name. That's the most important thing. If you're going to like talk about someone, at least learn their name and their background and what they do first before you just jump on them because of their colour. That's all I ask.
This is a wild place, y'all. It's a wild place. I know Harriet and Frederick be up there just like, what
He was butt naked on a zebra 1,000 years ago, love.
is they gonna do?
She was butt naked on a zebra a few thousand years ago, and she's telling us that America's now a wild place. Well, she might as well be right. Well, just well. I can't be offended because it's just too funny to me. I just find it funny. like, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that because it's like, it's just unfounded. Like, the racism in this is unfounded. They're mostly talking about what happened to their people, like, mostly over, like, a good 400 years ago, like, when America was founded by its founders from, like, parts of Ireland, England, Scotland, Netherlands, and Spain, and other countries mixed in, basically, that form up the whole of South America and North America, basically, and parts of Canada as well. You can thank the French for that as well, basically, for making somewhat of Canada, or at least a luscious and beautiful forest. I want to go to Canada sooner or later one day, actually. It's very gorgeous. Although, surprisingly, it's somewhere I wouldn't like to go if I was a woman, basically, because of the unfortunate rise of great victims. Yeah, it's one of the highest, like, numbers of it in any country, basically. It's kind of a shame, really, to see that. Although I think South Africa, in Africa alone, has the highest count for that. It's unfortunate to hear, nonetheless, really. So yeah, I've been asked to do this and react to it, and yeah, I'm kind of surprised at the, like, lack of knowledge that this generation has gone to. I feel like this is just emotional, like, pushback due to the obvious, like, systemic racisms that most families in America have unfortunately gone through, and it's kind of their way of trying to show, like, the beauty of their culture, but it's kind of hard to show a beauty when they haven't really lived the culture of, like, an African, basically. I actually met a black man one time in London, and his father had a great-grandfather, well, sorry, he had a great-great-grandfather who was a Kenyan. He was from Kenya. And he's, like, talking about the culture like he's lived it, which is understandable. He's had a grandfather who was living in Kenya, but he wasn't. So here I am thinking to myself, how can you really give a accurate and proper viewpoint on something if you've never, like, lived it? I mean, yeah, you can hear the stories from your father and your grandfather and so on and so forth, but again, you haven't lived that culture. That's like me saying that I could survive a war because my grandfather fought in the Second World War, which he did, as did my great-grandfather. Yeah, I'm a good fighter, I'm a good martial artist, I'm a martial arts instructor, for goodness sakes, but I'm not going to outright say that I have the bollocks to just kill someone. No, I don't think I could do that. I don't know if I could do something like that. I know if I was in a fight, I'd defend myself and my family. I will defend my family. But to say that I would actively go into a war zone, I'm not going to do that. So how he can basically say that, oh, he, like, somewhat understands his grandfather's culture. Yes, you are from the same grapevine, but that doesn't mean that you taste the same grape from the same grapevine, basically, if you know what I mean. That's a stupid saying. It's just interesting, really. I just thought I'd give a little reaction to this just to, like, see how it turned out. And to be honest, it's just funny. It's just funny to me. Also, I've also checked out an awful lot of reactions from some of the people. Like, I tried to block the video, like, from hearing what they're saying. And I just wanted to, like, listen to, like, their points of view on it before I came and reacted to it to myself, so I can, like, get the whole shock factor out of me, basically. But yeah, it's just funny. I think there's actually also one story I want to tell. What was it? I was going through in my town, and I was going through the marketplace. I was going through a door, and then this elderly black woman came up. She looked like she was struggling with her Zimmer frame, so I thought, oh, okay, I'll open the door for her. I'll wait for her to come through. She slowly looks up at me, notices I'm white, and then goes, "Huh, I could have opened the door myself, you racist honky." And I thought to myself, okay, kind of an oxymoron. Like, kind of an oxymoron. You call me a racist, you just were racist yourself. I tried to, like, laugh it off as, like, oh, like, it's a different generation and so on and so forth. So I just laughed at her. And before I, like, closed the door back on her, I said, "You've just lost your princess privileges, my dear." just slammed the door back on her and watched her struggle to open the door. Someone else ended up coming over to help her out. And then they kind of got the same treatment, basically. And I'm just standing there looking at the whole situation. He's looking around like, is this real? And I've just gone, that's your problem now, mate. I'm not dealing with that. So I can understand how, like, racism has affected most races, mostly due to, like, minorities and how they've been treated over the years, which is understandable. It doesn't mean that gives minorities the right to treat other races the same way, especially white people, because I feel like throughout our times, in modern day times, we've done an awful lot for minorities. Like, UK at the moment have got refugee bases for an awful lot of escapees that have managed to escape from Kabul and parts of Afghanistan. So you can't deny that white people have done some bad on this earth, but you cannot deny that we've also done some good. And that's the same with all races. All races have done good in their way, shape and form, but they've also done some bad. The only way that we can really move on and appreciate one another is to just learn each other's names. Just see the person behind the colour. Just see the light behind their eyes, basically. And that person will end up becoming your friend, lover or brother, basically. So, that's all I have to say on that. So, we'll go back to our regular schedule. I will more than likely, I think there's no Six Nations on next week. Oh yeah, England won the Six Nations game today against Italy. Complete shutout. It's nice to see Italy give like a rousing national anthem though. Like, I feel like every other country's national anthem is so good compared to our God Save the Queen. It's so monotone, basically. I feel like if we had Jerusalem or to the country, or to thy country, basically, that would be such a better like choice for a national anthem. I feel like it'd be so more interesting. You know what I mean? Because Jerusalem, like, just raises your spirits. Like when I sing that hymn, that's got some oomph to it, compared to like God Save our gracious Queen. I feel like Russell Howard did like a gag on that one time. Yeah, I think he did like a gag parody song on that one time on one of his shows. How did it go? It was like, I'm missing bargain hunt, what shall I have for lunch? Maybe some chips, do. Who would I rather be, SpongeBob or Mr. T? I want a spotless space monkey, 'cause I'm the Queen. I'm the Queen of England. Or something like that. I actually might sing that instead of like God Save the Queen, because that is just hysterical. I kind of want to see people's reaction when I do that, like when I go around pubs and when like sporting events happen. That'd be quite interesting, actually. I'll probably get kicked out of the pub, but who knows? It'll be for a laugh. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little reaction. It's a little bit different than usual. I won't be doing this often. I just thought I'd cover this because, you know, it's like jump on the bandwagon, see what's going on. But yeah, overall, it's just propaganda at the end of the day. Not something you want to take seriously. But obviously there are systemic racists out there in every single culture, not just whites. It's all cultures, basically. You've got to accept that racism affects all of us, not just one section of groups. Once you accept that, then it becomes better to eradicate it entirely. So, with that, lads and ladies, I thank you ever so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Take care, my friends.